Hello and welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport. And I may be a couple of days late and definitely a couple of dollars short on this one, but I did watch the Belgium Grand Prix and I watched it on Sunday. Unfortunately, I was very tired and I fell asleep whilst watching it, and so I didn't do the video on Sunday. Instead, I watched the rest of the race again on Monday, and again, I was kind of too tired to do a video, so we're doing it today. And really, not a lot happened, and it's a shame because I really like Spa, and we didn't get a proper Spa Grand Prix last year because of the rain and the safety car and the fact there was no race. It just ended. So I was definitely game for some racing at Spa, and I really enjoyed a lot of the support races, which I'll be talking about in another video, maybe today, very unlikely, probably tomorrow. And the Formula 1 race was okay. There's nothing really wrong with it, but not a lot happened sort of through the middle of the race onwards. Everything happened at the start, and qualifying, I don't think it really threw up any major surprises, and was in fact almost entirely pointless because half of the field had penalties anyway. So we had Sainz and Perez. I suppose the only surprise was that the Mercedes both qualified behind the Alpines, and Ocon dropped back anyway, so that again didn't make much difference. But this was, well, a lot had been said that Mercedes had a good chance in Belgium. I believe either Toto Wolff or Lewis Hamilton did say this was their best chance of victory, at least so far. They never really looked like they had the pace to challenge Red Bull or Ferrari, so I don't know where that confidence came from. Especially not after the first lap. Now, as we all know, I'm not the biggest Lewis Hamilton fan in the world. I'm not really even the biggest Fernando Alonso fan in the world, although I do like Fernando Alonso. I think he's a very interesting character. He's kind of a flashpoint, as in things happen around him. You usually get good sound bites out of him, which we did in this case. And just, Lewis Hamilton admitted it was his fault. The excuse was interesting, because he said he was in my blind spot. Presumably that means, Lewis Hamilton just presumed that Alonso wasn't there, essentially. And therefore, Alonso's statement that Hamilton only knows how to race when he's in first is kind of true. Because, a lot of racers do it. And I think that corner at Spa, a lot of the corners at Spa, a lot of the crashes or contact that happens tend to be one car trying to swoop in front of another one. But yeah, Lewis Hamilton did just sort of presume that Alonso wasn't there anymore. He got launched. It was quite a scary looking crash, actually. I'm surprised the Mercedes got around the track as far as it did, because it looked like it really hurt. I was a little bit worried for him. Because I'm sure you could shatter your back doing that. It definitely was a sore landing. First retirement for Lewis Hamilton this year, and not really helping his championship hopes if he had any, which I don't think he really did. I think he's about 140 points behind now. 8 races left. It would be miraculous for Lewis Hamilton to be champion now. So, once he does it, I'll come back and say miracles do happen. I was also amazed that Alonso's car was able to continue after that, because it looked like a really heavy impact. But he did, and he got a good result as well. In fact, Alpine, one of the teams of the weekend, outside of the front teams, they were definitely the best team. So it's a top job for them. It's a shame that off the track everything is a joke. I'm just going to close this curtain because the light is shining very brightly. That's better, I guess. No. So, what else happened? Not a lot. Latifi spun and took out Bottas. I mean, Latifi spins at least once in every race, so it's not a massive surprise. I believe Bottas and Hamilton were the only retirements, so it's lucky Bottas wasn't driving for Mercedes anymore. And as I said, this race wasn't amazing. We had Verstappen and Leclerc coming from the back. Verstappen was already in third place on lap 8. I think he took the lead on lap 12. At that point, there was no doubt that he was going to take it victory, really, unless something happened to him. And he did a fantastic job, third win in a row. And it looks really difficult to stop him right now. Perez drove really well as well, took second place. He's second place in the championship now as well. Red Bull have a big lead in the Constructors' title. Everything's looking good for them. Ferrari, Sainz, never really had the pace to win this race. I think he actually drove pretty well. Maybe a little conservatively. Maybe that's for good reason. But it wasn't a bad result in the end for him. He got on the podium. As for Leclerc, this was another complete joke. Yes, he started at the back. It was always going to be difficult. It didn't help that Verstappen absolutely carved his way through the field. And he got a visor tear-off stuck in his brake ducts, I think it was. And he had issues with sensors. So he had to pit early. I guess that messed up his strategy. He's kind of out of sync with everyone. Running in 5th behind George Russell. And he decides, well, I don't know if he decided or Ferrari or they jointly decided that he should pit and go for the fastest lap. Which is always kind of a risk, even if you have the gap to do it. I think they said it was under the sensor issue caused by the tear-off from earlier. He sped in the pit lane, got a penalty. So he fell behind Alonso in the final race order. And he didn't even get fastest lap. So it was a waste of time anyway. It promoted Alonso to 5th, which is a great result for Alpine. Matches their best of the year. And Leclerc got 6th. So he's even further off the title chase. He's not even in second in the championship anymore. George Russell in 4th did a pretty good job as he's done all year. No real complaints. I don't really see how he could have done any better. He sort of hung on to Carlos Sainz, but he never really looked like he was going to get close enough to overtake him. Beyond that, Leclerc in 6th. Esteban Ocon was 7th, so a good result for him in Alpine. I think he came from quite far back as well. Sebastian Vettel was in the points, which, you know, Aston Martin are 9th in the Constructors' Championship, which is pretty bad, and it makes me wonder even more why Alonso's chosen to join them, other than their ambition, which they can't seem to match on the track. Pierre Gasly, I mean, it's good that AlphaTauri got points because it's been a while, but it's still a really poor year for him and the team. But this was a good enough race for him, especially as he started bone last because he started from the pit lane. It was a pretty good job for him to get points. Alexander Albon in the Williams in 10th did a fantastic job. A point for them is basically a victory, so massive for the Thai driver. And he's overtaken Lance Stroll in the Drivers' Championship. So Lance Stroll is 19th out of 21 technically. And he's the one who's definitely got a job. Outside of the top 10, really it's your usual suspects outside of the McLarens, who I honestly don't understand where their pace has gone. They're not really even competing with the Alpines anymore. They're nowhere near them. So Guan Yu Zhou, Yuki Tsunoda, they're all kind of just lost in the midfield. The Hasses as well, their pace seems to be very racetrack specific. But they didn't have any pace all weekend. Now, I don't really have a lot to say about him. Latifi finished the race, but I think he might have been last, or there might have been one car behind him. I can't remember. But he hasn't scored any points anyway. So that was the race order. As I said, this was not the most exciting Formula 1 Grand Prix in the world ever. But it's always nice to have racing at Spa. The championship honestly looks pretty much sewn up. I cannot see anyone catching Verstappen. He has a nearly 100 point lead over his teammate. So he's pretty safe for 4 races and there's only 8 left. And the next one's his home Grand Prix, which he won last year. So chances are he's going to win again this weekend. We'll find out. Obviously things can happen. Ferrari need to get their act together. Leclerc is honestly in danger of falling behind his teammate, and George Russell's not far behind Carlos Sainz. So the battle for third is on. They're not far behind Perez, but if Perez continues to drive as he is doing okay. I think he's probably the favourite for second place now because Red Bull do just seem to have a good pace advantage over everyone else. Mercedes, this promised performance has not happened, and I think they're not far off the Ferraris, and that's kind of a victory for them considering how bad this year has been for them. Anyone behind that, the Alpines, I think they're pretty much set in stone for 4th, and Norris is going to do well to hang on to 7th place above Ocon and Alonso, and I think all 3 of those drivers are pretty close together on points now. And then the rest of them, it could be anything because it seems to change every race. As for the Alpine McLaren contract situations, I know this is going to court at some point. It might be this week. And it does sort of look like we're going to have Piastri and Norris at McLaren and Ricciardo and Ocon at Alpine. Jack Doohan did a fantastic job in Formula 2 this weekend, and I really think he deserves the Alpine Formula 1 seat. It'll be a massive disappointment if he doesn't get it, and I honestly think if Daniel Ricciardo wants to show any kind of national pride, it would be nice for him to join Alpine as a reserve driver, helping Jack Doohan adapt to Formula 1. I think that would be a better role for him than being a Formula 1 driver right now, because he clearly doesn't have it anymore. And he doesn't want to end up like Sebastian Vettel, driving in an Aston Martin, spinning fairly often. And he's kind of getting there. So maybe he'll do one more season as a chance to redeem himself a bit, give his name a bit more credit with a team he has been with before. I think it'd be a bad idea, and I would like Alpine to show some, like, be a bit brave, go for a young driver like Jack Doohan. And the other one that was interesting was Mick Schumacher, because apparently he's not part of the Ferrari Driver Academy anymore. That's quite shocking considering his name, but it increasingly looks like Haas are going to replace him. So again, that seat being open is quite interesting, and it'll be fascinating to see who ends up driving for them. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if it was Romain Grosjean with Rich Energy as the sponsors. So that was the Spa Grand Prix. I don't really have anything else to say about it apart from congratulations Verstappen on your championship victory. This weekend we are going to Zandvoort for the Dutch Grand Prix. Banking, I'm sure it's going to be a good run. Apparently they're planning on running with DRS on it, or testing the DRS on the banking. That'll be interesting. Can't wait to watch Latifi spin on it. Can't wait to watch Stroll spin. Can't wait to watch Vettel spin. I think a lot of this field has got a reputation for spinning. It's a shame Mazepin is gone. We'll be back. So make sure you subscribe. And thank you for watching. And I am still really tired, but I am going to be doing videos all week and releasing them. The sad thing is it's daytime and I'm tired. Summer's not over yet. Thank you for watching and have a good one.